Between 792 to 793 and 796 a Qays-Yaman war took place in Palestine and Transjordan between the Northern Arab Tribal Federation of Mudhar, also called Nizar and the Southern Tribal Confederation of Yaman and the latter's Abbasid allies. The conflict may have begun as early as 787–88, though specific outbreaks of war are largely dated to 793 and 796. Some violence by Bedouin raiders in the Judean Desert also erupted in 797, though it is not clear whether directly related to the preceding Qaysi-Yamani conflict. Background: in the 8th century, Palestine and Transjordan were functioning as two administrative districts, Judean and Judean al-Urdun. Judean stretched from Rafah to Lajin, encompassing much of the coastal plain of Palestine and included Samaria and Mount Hebron, while Judean al-Urdun consisted of the Galilee, Jabal Amil, and most of Transjordan. Both districts were a part of the larger province of Bilad ash-Sham of the Abbasid Caliphate. The Abbasids annexed Bilad ash-Sham after defeating the Umayyad dynasty in 750. The capital of the Caliphate was subsequently moved from Damascus to Baghdad, and Palestine consequently lost its central position in the state, becoming a distant district whose affairs were not as closely monitored or regulated as they were under the Umayyads. The Abbasids were also facing difficulties suppressing rebellions throughout the Caliphate at the time of the intertribal hostilities in Palestine. Various Arab tribes populated the regions of Palestine and Transjordan and formed confederations. The Mudhar faction, led by Amir ibn Umar al-Murri, represented the northern tribes, while the Yamani faction represented the southern tribes. Ibrahim ibn Salih, the governor of Bilad ash-Sham and a cousin of the Caliph al-Mahdi, regularly dealt with the affairs in Judean. He and his aide, Ishaq ibn Ibrahim, tended to favor the Yamani tribe in its disputes with the Mudhar. According to an account by a Christian source from the time, the towns of Gaza, Beit Jibrin, Ascalon in Judean and Sarafia in Judean al-Urdun were destroyed in 788, or during the reign of Patriarch Elias II. During the hostilities between the Abbasids and a force of rebels commanded by Yahya ibn Urmiyah, a Jew from Transjordan, war first outbreak. According to 9th-century historian al-Tabari, clashes between the Arab tribes of Palestine had begun in 790–91, while 15th-century Ibn Taghriberdi wrote that the conflict began as early as 787–88. The 12th-century Syriac Orthodox Patriarch Michael the Syrian and 13th-century historian Ibn al-Athir asserted that the conflict started in 792–93. According to the latter, hostilities commenced following an incident where a member of the northern Banu al-Qayn tribe came to grind his wheat at a location in the Al-Balqa region of Transjordan and stole marrows and watermelons from southern tribesmen. Casualties became considerable as tribes from the Golan Heights and Judean al-Urdun joined the war as allies of the Yamani coalition. The strife was brought to an end and violence calmed down by the 29th of December 793, after decisive intervention by the new Caliph Harun al-Rashid and his brothers. Second outbreak. In 796, battles between the Mudhar and Yamani tribes broke out again for unspecified reasons. It is presumed by historian Moshe Gil that the northern Mudhar tribes instigated the hostilities and that the focus of their attacks was directed not only against the Yamani Federation, but the Abbasid state itself. Harun al-Rashid viewed this as a rebellion and dispatched a large army headed by Ja'far ibn Yahya al-Barmaki to quell the revolt. Battles between the two sides erupted throughout Palestine, and during a major confrontation near Jerusalem, Ibn al-Atiyah wrote that 800 Yamani tribesmen were killed, while 600 Mudhari tribesmen were killed. According to a 10th-century Christian source, one side suffered 80 dead and the other side 60. According to Gil, al-Barmaki put down the rebels with an iron hand and much blood was spilled. Al-Barmaki assigned Isa ibn al-Aki as his representative for the whole province of Bilad ash-Sham, while he appointed Salih bin Sulayman as his representative in al-Balka. Thus, Jind al-Adun, which had normally been under the authority of the governor of Damascus, gained separate administration. This was a result of al-Barmaki's belief that Transjordan was the epicenter of the rebellion. Aftermath: the Abbasid governor of Jind Philistin, Hatama ibn Ayyan, was reassigned to Egypt in 796. During and after the war, anarchy became widespread in Palestine. In addition, the main roads of the district were rendered impassable due to the presence of hostile Bedouin bands, various Arab tribes that previously attempted to raid the Christian monasteries of the Judean Desert, but were prevented from doing so by the state authorities, took advantage of the security vacuum and attacked several of them. The St. Chariton Monastery was robbed, and on the 20th of March 796 and the 19th of March 797, 20 to 28 monks at Mas Arbor were reportedly suffocated to death or cremated, while around 100 monks were assaulted. The monasteries of St. Cyriacus, St. Theodosius and St. Euthymius were also raided at some point during or after the hostilities. Bibliography